It is finally Friday here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast and everywhere, not just here. That'd be cool if we could just do that.
Yeah,
It's Friday just for us. Screw you guys. We're going home.
Yeah.
Kind of during the season we get to do that.
Screw you guys. I'm
Yeah,
going home.
our Fridays are all kinds of different days during the season.
Yeah.
It could be a Monday or a Tuesday.
Exactly. Well, it's Friday all around the world. So thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Jay Zawoski.
It's not
Greg
Friday in
Boyson.
Australia. It's Saturday.
Don't math me. It's Friday in America. That's what matters. Damn it.
Okay.
We're here. We got some stuff to do today. We are going to continue our previews and reviews on our Blackhawks. We're going to do Ryan Donato, Alex Vlasic, and Teuvo Teravainen today. So make sure you stick around for that. We're also going to share some news from around the league before we get into it. Nothing huge, but some stuff worth discussing real quick. Before we get to any of that, do us a favor. Hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And if you're a podcast listener, like, subscribe, follow, all that great stuff. And please do us a favor on this Friday. If you've not done it before,
It's 5-Star Fridays.
5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That would be great. Skeeter, don't worry. The Bears podcast is coming. Just stay here for a while, though, and hit that like button.
Bears. What are the Bears?
The Bears. They play a preseason game in 5 days.
The Hershey
6
Bears?
days. Yes. Calder Cup champion
Two-time
Hershey Bears.
defending, reigning Calder Cup champion Hershey Bears.
Great uniforms, too. Love those.
Claws up, baby. There's a new link coming for Bears. They'll be back up momentarily. Some sort of stream technology situation.
Exactly.
Y'all know how that goes.
Got to get that grainy training camp footage.
100%. All right, so let's start with the news of the day. We have kind of been talking about this for a while, but Patrick Laine of the Columbus Blue Jackets has cleared the player assistance program. He is cleared by the league. So now teams can begin to start discussing a trade with Columbus for Laine. I think it was Aaron Portzline said that teams want to talk to him before they start negotiating trades for him, which makes a lot of sense. It's a guy coming out of a mental health situation. So they want to see how he's feeling, see how he's doing, see how he's recovering, and then go from there. But the next step in Patrick Laine's move from Columbus is here. You said something interesting about that situation before the show, that if the Hawks wanted to trade for him, they couldn't afford it. They don't have the cap space.
No, they don't anymore.
That's crazy.
I mean, the Blackhawks are under $7 million in cap space. So obviously they had no intention to ever even explore that option. If they were, they would have left enough cap space.
Laine, for the record, makes $8.7 million this year and next. Now, I think we can all assume that whoever is trading for him will get, the Columbus is going to have to eat some of the deal.
Probably. But, I mean, you said they wanted a draft pick and a prospect. So
That's the latest,
if they want a first rounder and a mid-level prospect, they're probably going to have to retain a bunch of that salary.
Columbus.
Yeah, Columbus.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that they'd have to.
If they're going to, if a team comes at, say, a San Jose or a team that has the cap space, says we'll take all of that cap space, we'll take the whole contract, but we're only going to give you a fourth rounder, they may take that.
Oh, I think they'd for sure just welcome ridding themselves of that contract, and yeah, I mean, for sure. So just for the record, by the way. The Hawks have 6.6775 of cap space if we want to get specific to the dollar amount.
You could trade someone on the roster, but they're not. That's not what they're looking for.
I don't think
it's not.
It doesn't seem like they're
never was in the cards, because
Nah.
if it was, they wouldn't have signed so many guys. They would have not signed Tyler Bertuzzi, or they would have not signed
Teuvo Teravainen.
Right. They would have left that space if they thought they were going to be able to pull a deal. I would have liked to see Laine on the Hawks. I think that's a low risk, high reward kind of move. I've always been a fan of his on the ice.
Yeah.
All he does is score goals,
Especially against the Hawks, it seems.
Literally all he does. He's got that really unique sense of style. Always seems like a fun guy. He's gone through some struggles, but seems to have things that there's the narrative that all he wants to do is just play his video games and he doesn't care about hockey. But I don't know if you saw a couple last week. There was footage of him training with Jerry Jeudy and the Cleveland Browns wide receivers working on like footwork. So it was like they showed this video. It's like, here's Jerry Jeudy, here's this Browns wide receiver, here's this Brown receiver, here's Patrick Laine. Like, one of these things is not
assumingly
like
in a really cool, oddly colored suit with some
no, he was
sunglasses
wearing
on.
the bad orange shorts and the Browns t-shirt. He looked like he belonged, but he's putting in the work. He wants to play.
Yeah.
But another biggest issue with him, besides the not exactly sure what you're getting, mentally at this point, physically he's had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
As someone who's had him in my keeper dynasty fantasy league for many years, man, when he's on the ice, he's dangerous. Problem is he's off the ice almost as much as he's on the ice. So I think he would have been a nice fit for the Hawks. His contract fit that timeline, 2 years. You never know what happens in those 2 years. But it's not in the Hawks' plans.
Yeah, and I think a couple of things I want to be clear on. Like, the Hawks are clearly not looking for any sort of controversy to bring in. They don't need any sort of situations happening. However, it's important to note that none of the stuff with Laine is character.
No.
There's no concerns about him as a guy.
Yeah.
But it's, is he recovered? Is he ready to commit? Is he ready to will he be happy in Chicago? Is this sort of situation he wants? And I think, for a guy who wants out of Columbus, he's probably going to want to dictate at least somewhat where he goes. Now, Columbus doesn't have to do him that favor. Like, look, man, you're asking for out. We're going to do the best thing we can for us.
Right.
To either get as much money off the books as we can or get as much back as we can for you. But I think typically when guys are in this sort of situation, the teams do their best to accommodate at least a little bit into a place where they're going to feel comfortable. So,
well, I mean, he's got like a 27 out of 31 chance to go to a team that's going to be better.
Yeah.
So, but you put him on a team that has playoff aspirations and put him in a situation where he doesn't have to be the guy.
Yeah.
Where he can be your second line guy. I think he can succeed.
Oh, I think he's look, one thing I know is, you just said it, like when he's on the ice, he's scoring. He is a goal scorer. So if teams talk to him and feel good, and look, I'll say this, like if the Hawks do bring him in, I'm not at all upset about it. I think it makes them better. It's just going to be interesting to kind of finagle that lineup all of a sudden with Taylor Hall and Anthony Ciu and Reichel and Teravainen and Bertuzzi. Like, where exactly does he fit? He's not a center, so you can't put him in a second line center spot. So when you look at what they've done, I think the writing's kind of on the wall that Laine isn't and probably has never been really in their plans. And I don't think that's a terrible idea because of their lack of interest or their fear, I guess, of any kind of controversy.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say there's controversy attached to Laine. Like, it's not what's going on in Colorado.
Right.
He removed himself for mental, health reasons, and to me, that's commendable. To realize, hey, I'm not in a good place here. I need to work on myself before I can do anything else. So I don't really. It's not like he's had, it's not like it's a Corey Perry or an Evander Kane or anybody else in Edmonton these days. So, I wouldn't necessarily say they're worried about a controversy, but I think they like where their team is now, and then they kind of want, more sure things for next year. They went through a season of, hey, we think we might have a good team, and then everything fell apart. You have a team that just had ridiculous injury luck last year, and bringing in a guy like Laine doesn't help with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to hold your breath every time Taylor Hall gets hit, every time Anthony Ciu gets hit. You did bring in, some more durable guys like a Bertuzzi and Teravainen, and those guys, have track records of being durable and playing full seasons. So that's probably another reason where they were like, after last year's bad injury luck, do we really want to bring in another injury-prone guy?
Yeah.
Where we have,
because you already have two you can't get rid of.
and Connor Murphy is injury prone. Like you've got too many of those guys already. If you want to avoid what you had to go through last year, you probably don't roll the dice on a Patrick Laine being healthy for 82 games because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, agreed. The other thing we want to get to before we start getting to our reviews and previews is if you've been following and you're a fan of 32 Thoughts, you may have noticed that Jeff Marek has not been around lately. I'm reading here from theprovince.com. If you've been paying attention to Twitter, you may have noticed that Jeff Marek hasn't tweeted since day one of the 2024 NHL entry draft. That was June 28th. Obviously, for someone like Marek, who's that plugged in, that opinionated, that often visible in the hockey world, to not just go away in the middle of the draft is odd. Now, a bunch of sources have confirmed that he no longer works for Sportsnet. There's no other information about that. Elliot Friedman hasn't said anything about it aside from he did a 32 Thoughts by himself
after the draft,
and said
really
something
weird.
and said something about Marek catching a red eye home, and that was the last Elliot Friedman said. And look, Friedman is, if something's going on, or even if he's just been, if it's a contract negotiation, or they couldn't get a deal done, whatever it might be, every time Elliot Friedman tweets, people are asking about Marek. He's not going to say anything. He can't say anything,
right?
But it's just very strange. And based on, I don't know Jeff Marek personally. I don't think you do either. Everyone seems to think he's a great guy, so it seems like it's probably just some kind of contractual thing. But
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope
when
so
you just
too.
pick up and leave in the middle of the draft and don't say anything.
Weird, yeah.
It's not a contract expiring. So I just hope it's something something along those lines and not something, if it was a personal thing, they'd probably at least say something like that. So I'm not gonna try and speculate or start a rumor. I just hope. I only know Jeff Marek from his shows, podcasts, his TV. Is one of my favorite hockey guys out there. So I just hope that whatever is going on, everybody's safe and healthy and out of trouble.
Well, maybe,
that's it.
Maybe he's like me, and like he was inside the sphere, and just like his whole life changed, and like he just wants to live inside there. So he got a job working inside the sphere. He's now
Bob Weir's guitar tech.
Oh, yeah, maybe he's
gone off grid to go tour with the Dead.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah,
that sounds wonderful.
I do get a kick out of the chat. I love our chat. Everybody wants to trade Andreas Anthony for Patrick Laine. I would.
Sure, of course you would.
Andreas Anthony's trade value is less than mine right now.
Yeah, that's true. You're
nobody wants him. Not now. Maybe if he plays 40, 50 games before the trade deadline and he's putting up numbers, you could probably get something for him. Nobody's taking Andreas Anthony right now.
Bottom comment there.
If they could, says, if somebody would, I would trade him for anything right now.
Dave Keith says it seems to matter more to you guys in Chicago about Marek than it does to anyone in Toronto. You might want to hit refresh on your computer there, champ. I don't know what you're talking about, but it's a huge story.
Yeah, I don't know.
This would be like Adam Schefter disappearing.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if that happened, but I don't know. It's a weird. It's a strange story. I just hope it has a happy-ish ending.
Yeah.
It sucks because he's no longer there, and the best hockey podcast besides this one,
second best,
just lost its
half
its host.
It is what it is.
But hopefully this gets sorted out and details come out, and it's everybody's okay. That's all I hope for.
All right, addressed. We are going to get to our reviews and previews coming up next, right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
Hey, we're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Perfect timing after talking about someone losing their job. If you need to hire Sportsnet, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. You use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with your candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers Agree, Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. So, listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
And it's grilling season. Go get your pork. People who are active, someone's around here somewhere, need more protein than the average American. In fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, Dietitians of Canada, they're worried about Jeff Marek, and the American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes, depending on training. So for a 150-pound person, not me, that's about 81 to 136 grams of protein per day. One 3-ounce serving of pork provides 23 grams of high-quality protein that can help active individuals build and preserve muscle. The International Society of Sports Nutrition recommends that people who are involved in a general fitness program or who are interested in optimizing their health eat low-fat, high-quality sources of protein. That includes lean cuts pork. Elevate your protein game with lean pork, a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. From your sausage and bacon for breakfast to pulled pork or juicy chops hot off the grill, it's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product, paid for by the Illinois pork producers. Generations of commitment. And when I get to Kansas City tomorrow, I'm going to say, is this Illinois pork? Joe's Barbecue? And they're going to say no. And I'm going to say, good, I have some in my trunk. I want this. I brought my own pig.
Matthew Hins has a question or a comment for you about Kansas City.
Yeah, Matthew says, heard you guys are headed to Kansas City. Check out the Blue Line Hockey Bar. Surprisingly, not much hockey going on now, but great hockey atmosphere. 2013 and 15, this was Hawks Central in the area. Is it a blues bar? Like a St. Louis blues bar? Because the blue line would indicate, and it is Missouri.
Yeah, but there's blue lines in hockey rinks, so
that's true.
Let's hope.
Need clarity.
He's with Darth Maul in this.
All I'm asking is if it is a blues bar, do I need to bring some Hawks gear to wear and piss people off?
I mean, you should do that anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. I can do that. That sounds good. Yeah, there was something else I want to address in the chat real quick, and I'm forgetting. Oh, the Athanasiou thing. Guys, Andreas Athanasiou at $4.5 million is not going to be the best offer the Blue Jackets get.
No, it's not.
They don't want that. They don't. And yeah, you can make the money work, but why is Columbus going to do that?
Because they like us.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Here, take our trash trades. Never happened.
See it from both sides. If you're Don Waddell and you've got Patrick Laine and you're getting offers from around the league, what are the odds that Andreas Athanasiou is part of the best package you're going to get?
Probably not.
Especially
if it is, well, okay.
When it's not to knock the Athanasiou, but it's a guy who played, 10 games last year? He was hurt all year.
I mean, I could see the only thing that would make that attractive to Columbus is you're getting an NHL player, but they could say, well, Athanasiou only has 1 year left on his deal, so Laine has 2, so we're winning a full year.
Sure,
on that, but that's still not enough to make that that trade. They're a rebuilding team.
If Columbus wants Athanasiou for Patrick Laine, great. I'm all for it. Done. I do it in a heartbeat. I just when we are dreaming of these things, we need to flip it and look at it from the perspective of the other team. And what are the odds that that is the best offer? And sure, there could be draft picks involved, and that changes the conversation. But chances are most teams are going to be able to present something a little more enticing than a banged-up Andreas Athanasiou. Again, I like him when he's healthy. He's very fast. He provides some scoring depth. Seems like a decent dude. But right now his value has never been lower. So, all right. Let's start with who do you want to start with?
Real quick. Matthew said, no, it's not a blues bar, and he says Yes, wear your Hawks gear. He says he blasts Chelsea Dagger every time he's in there, and the owner is a Sharks fan, and all teams are welcome.
Fair enough.
Sharks are harmless.
Well, the team is. Actual sharks are not harmless. They'll bite your leg off. Stay out of the ocean, everybody.
Not if you punch him in the nose first, right? Isn't that the rule?
I'm
Apparently
just not going to find out.
You just touch him on the
Boop him.
nose. Yeah, boop. Yeah, boop.
Hey, little guy, boop.
Give him a little boop, boop as he's gnawing your calf off. Sounds good. All right. Who are we starting with?
Let's go. Let's start with the best.
All right, let's start with the best. Well, your spoilers.
Well, I mean, the names are in the headline.
All right, last year, Alex Vlasic, 76 games, 2 goals, 14 assists, 16 points. Points and scoring are not Alex Vlasic's game. They have never been. They probably will not be. I think as his career goes on, the points will grow. They'll become more and more. But to evaluate Alex Vlasic, you don't need to look at the numbers. You need to look at what he does defensively. And I would argue, I don't think it's a difficult argument to make, that he is their best defender. I don't think there's any question about it right now.
He's really developed well. Last year he was pretty steady from day one. There wasn't not a lot of bumps in the road. That full year in Rockford really did a lot for him. He had one or two too many games played to be ineligible for the Calder.
Yeah.
Because I think if he was, the Hawks might have had 2 finalists.
Probably.
Because
what was his plus minus though?
I was going to get to that. He was a -4 on a team that was -111 on the season.
That's crazy.
Give him the Calder right then and there.
Well, it's from the other guy.
I mean, that's only what was Faber? Was he a +1 at the end of the year?
I think so, yeah.
So he was 5- on a team that gave up a ton more goals. And then, yes, Brock Faber had the points.
-1.
He was a -1. So -3 less than Faber on a team that gave up probably about 150 more goals than the. I mean, that alone, that number right there blows my mind. -4 on a team that's -111.
Almost impossible.
That shows you how good of a season he had. He had 148 block shots, so he's not afraid to get dirty there. As a rookie defenseman, I know he was ineligible for the Calder, but he was essentially a rookie, his first full season. He was 53rd in the entire league amongst all defensemen in 5-on-5 time on ice.
It's amazing.
I mean, you say 53rd, and you're like, oh, okay, but that means like
it's top pair.
Top pair.
Yeah.
Like there's 64 top pair defensemen in the league. So
by definition,
right there, yes. So he was a 42.7 Corsi for, which isn't great, but when you consider he started almost 61% of his shifts in the defensive zone, and a lot of those times they were getting hemmed in because you didn't have many forwards that can go get a go get the puck, or they cough it up a lot. So pretty impressive year. Got rewarded with the long-term contract extension, which is very team-friendly. It's going to be
a great deal.
It's going to be one of the biggest bargains in the NHL within a half a season.
Yeah, he is signed through, just to remind everybody. Well, this doesn't work yet. What was it, 8-year deal, right?
6, I thought.
Maybe 6, yeah. $4.6 million. Yeah, 6 years. For the next 6 years. That is a bargain. That's an absolute bargain. Yeah. Maybe he gets rich on his second in 6 years, but for right now, they've got a stud, top pairing quality guy locked up for the next 6 seasons at a very affordable cap hit. All right, what was your letter grade for Alex Vlasic?
Oh, he got an A. I mean, there's very little to really hammer him about. Like, there's just not a lot to criticize.
Not really.
For a kid of his age on a team that was so porous defensively overall.
Yeah.
To put up the numbers he did, I mean, it's nothing. A is really the only way I can go.
I gave him an A as well, and I mean, of course, there were mistakes made over the course of the year, but I can't think of anything like really glaring with him. And I'm not, just before you freak out at me, I'm not making this comparison right now. But the way we've talked about Duncan Keith in some of our, top 10 shows or whatever, as we said, that Duncan Keith was so good that you didn't have to talk about him. You just knew you'd have him out there from 23 to 27 minutes per night, 30 in the playoffs, and he was going to do his job and do it well. And it wasn't even a thought. Just worry about the other 22 guys on the team, right? Vlasic is kind of there, not to the level, not to the Norris Trophy caliber play.
I get what you're saying.
But in terms of me not worrying,
yeah, when Jones and Vlasic are on the ice, you
feel good.
You're usually in a pretty good situation.
And if Levshunov becomes what the projections say he's going to be, that tandem of Vlasic and Levshunov is going to be one of the best in hockey. I mean, Levshunov's more of an offensive guy. He's got the mobility, but both guys can play with some physicality. Like, that's going to be a mofo of a defensive pair. Maybe they don't play them together. Maybe they spread the wealth a little bit on two pairs. But, man, they're like, just those two give you a lot of reason to be excited about the Blackhawks defensive core coming up.
And that's the thing, because you had all these first-round picks to be excited about. You're Nolan Allen. Not a lot of people were excited about that pick. But, Kevin Korchinski was taken 7th overall. Levshunov's taken 2nd overall. But here's a kid drafted, 5 years ago in the 2nd round?
Yeah.
And he's turning into a stud defenseman. And, the sky's still the limit for him. I think he's only scratching the surface of what he's going to accomplish at the NHL level.
All right, so looking ahead to next season, I think we can kind of predict a bump for every Hawk because the team's just going to be better. They're not going to be hemmed in as deep as often. The goaltending is going to be better. So I expect a lot of the numbers for all these guys to go up a little bit. What do you have as a statistical prediction for Vlasic?
I think Vlasic has a very underrated offensive game. He just never really got a chance to show it off. Did a little bit in that season in Rockford. They put him on the power play. Yeah. So it's there. I just think he's so focused defensively. I think he'll stay that way a bit, but he'll have a little uptick. I think I'm going to predict 4 goals, 21 assists for 25 points. Again, as you said when we first started this, goals and points are not what he's getting paid to do.
Right.
So anything you get out of him is gravy. So, I think it'll be a little uptick. Maybe down the road, he could be a 35 to 40 point guy, especially if some of these other offensive minded defensemen start to develop. He can be sneaky, but right now, being the Blackhawks' best defensive defenseman is a pretty good role to have, and he does it perfectly.
Yeah, and he seems happy with it. Doesn't seem like a guy who's chomping at the bit for more offense. But, like, kind of what you were alluding to also is, like, the Hawks are going to be able to score now. Just think of that month Connor Bedard was out. It was like, what they average, like just over a goal or like just about 2 goals a game.
Yeah, I remember the dry January graphic.
It was just brutal. Yeah. Like they couldn't score at all. Right. So no matter how well you play, you're not going to get your points. I think just the fact that the team's better, he's going to be on the ice more often with better players. I'm calling for 5 goals, 25 assists, 30 points. Again, nothing crazy. The two of us are 5 points apart in an 82-game season. We're basically kind of on the same wavelength. I just think because the team will be scoring more, and with him another year developed, he's going to be on the ice even more. His ice time is going to go up. Now that they kind of know what they have in him, I'm expecting an even better. And I really hope that with some of the national spotlight that's going to be shined on the Hawks this year, with the Winter Classic, with the improved roster, with all those things, that the rest of the league starts to catch up to Alex Vlasic and some of the coverage starts to catch up to Alex Vlasic because he is one of the game's finest young defensemen. And again, he's not Cale McCarn. He's not Luke Hughes or Quinn Hughes. He's not going to put up a bunch of numbers, but he is a stud defenseman in his, second full year in the league. So it's going to be really fun to watch his development continue alongside the rest of the great defensive prospects the Hawks have. So good stuff. All right, when we come back, we're going to get to Ryan Donato, the Boston man himself, on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We talk a lot about number 1 draft picks here on this show. Make Ray Chevy, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram your number 1 pick this summer to find the perfect new car for you. This July, shop a wider selection of vehicles at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and score new lower prices across their huge inventory during the Make This the Summer event. For a limited time, lease the new 2024 Jeep Compass Latitude Luxe for only $189 a month, or shop over 125 vehicles under $20,000. Let the amazing team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram help you land the perfect vehicle at the perfect price, because it's because with Ray's Price Promise, the numbers you're hearing now are the same prices you could expect to shop in-store and online. That's because Ray's Price Promise means no price changing, no add-ons, no hitting fees, no funny business. Since they prioritize affordability for their customers, hurry in the Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram today and shop one of Chicago's largest inventories and then drive home with more money in your pocket than you expect. So if you're in a market for a new vehicle and you have to check out the team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram because they are the only team we recommend, visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, you can head over to raycdjr.com, serving the community since 1963.
And with all the money you save from Ray on your Ram, take it to allchgo.com and become a diehard today. We've got a bunch of new diehards joining us this week. I'm going to pull those up in a second. But first, I want to tell you about some of the events we have coming up. The CHGO Cubs watch party versus Kansas City. That is, well, that's over.
No, it's tonight.
No, it's tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. At Miller's Ale House, 1300 North Meacham in Schaumburg. How about the White Sox takeover Friday, August 9th at Guaranteed Rate Field? You can get your tickets there. Pre-game meetup at Turtles. Turtle. Friday, August 23rd, the CHGO second annual Kickoff Classic at Cog Hill. Come and golf with us. The Cookout Classic was an amazing time. The Kickoff Classic will be great. I just still think it's amazing they let us play on Cog Hill.
Yeah, that's
a horrible decision by them, but we'll let it keep going. So why, with all these events, do you want to become a diehard? Can't you just go to the events? Of course you can, but you become a diehard, you're going to get a free shirt or hat upon sign up, okay? That's automatic. I've got my, can I say sweetness? My birthday boy t-shirt design on. We've got the CHGO hat right there on set. There's several other hats available. That's just the start. Then you save 20% on every event, including our takeovers, our watch parties, tailgates that are coming up during the Bear season. How about the London trip?
Oh, yes, London. Yes.
Yeah, go to London with the Bears. Does that sound fun? We're going to definitely have something for the Winter Classic pregame.
A 9-hour flight with Carmen Braggs. I might pass on that.
You don't have to sit with those guys. I would. Don't sit
doesn't
with
matter.
those.
I have a feeling it doesn't matter where you sit on that plane. You're going to hear those two.
I think Hogue strikes me as a guy who just puts on the headphones and veges out during a flight. That's my kind of guy.
Yeah, he definitely.
That's who I would sit with on the flight.
He definitely uses his miles and upgrades to like business class
to stay away from Carm.
Yes,
the official stay away from Carm section. But look, here's what we're saying. You help us, first of all. You get access to all of our great written content, access to our members-only Discord, which is lit, by the way. That gets you priority on our Mailbag Monday shows. There's so many reasons to become a diehard. Do it today, chgolocker.com. You get your free t-shirt. You go to an event. You basically pay for it right there. Not to mention all the savings you have at CHGO Locker all year round. It's a no-brainer. If you love CHGO, you will love being a diehard. Join the team. Join the family. Do it today, chgolocker.com. Another hot take I've never seen before happening in the chat today. Scott Oman says that the United Center is run down and they should tear it down and build a new stadium instead of the project they're projecting, the 1901 project. The United Center is one of the nicest arenas in hockey. Especially I know it was built in 94?
You're talking 30 years, yeah.
But it still is like
everything's
beautiful.
They just rebuilt all the 300 level concourse.
Yes, they got a brand new scoreboard.
Brand new, like the washrooms have been redone. The only things that haven't been redone is the press box.
Yes,
that's still the original press box.
And I don't think any fan cares.
No, they don't care about that.
Stuck in some.
I don't know,
press
man.
box.
We've seen a lot of bad takes in our chat since day one, and that's in the Mount Rushmore of bad takes.
Yeah,
it just needs the cup holders.
Get some cup holders, and it'll
not
be
run down. It's 30 years old, and it's nicer than some arenas that have been built in the last 5 years.
And there's not really a bad seat in the house.
No, not for hockey.
No.
Great sightline. I don't know.
By the way, I've been thinking about the cup holder thing. The United Center chairs.
Yeah.
When you're sitting in your seat at the United Center, the seat in front of you is lower down than most typical stadiums.
That's true.
Right? Like at Wrigley, you feel like the person in front of you is like almost like chin level.
Right.
At the United Center, like belly button level.
I feel like upstairs at Wrigley, it is sort of the way it is.
Yeah, like the cup holder would be almost on the floor.
You might as well just put it on the floor.
But that's where your cup is anyway, on the floor. So I wonder if their thought is because the seat in front of you is so low, as people are going to be cutting through the aisle, they might be like kicking the cup holders over and over again.
Yeah, 100%. It would be harder to get through the aisles with them, but like I think Jamie Faulkner is going to come in before the season begins. We've been chatting about that.
And we promise you that will be one of the first things we ask about.
The first question we ask. So,
but I'll just say this:
holders.
it's something they certainly have thought of.
I thought they used to have them at some point.
I don't remember. I
did
always
too, but
remember.
no
I
idea.
thought they
having
had
my
them.
pop
I
on the
thought they
floor.
had them when they first.
I always remember having mine like on the floor in front of me or like between my feet, and then people come by and have to pick it up, hold it, let them go through, and then put it back down. That's the experience I remember being at games.
Yeah, I think they used to have them. And got rid of them. I don't know.
Or did they like have them in one of the levels? Maybe
Maybe the fancy 200 level has
Maybe.
them. I don't know.
Pinkies up, everyone.
Oh yeah.
All right, well,
And thumbs
figure
up.
that out.
I don't know if anyone wants to like a spike.
yeah, let's do a like spike. 65 likes, make it make sense. Come on, it's Friday. Hit that like button. 3, 2, 1. You hit that like button, they're gonna install cup holders, guaranteed. Do it. Hit that button for us. We would greatly appreciate that.
Tear it down and build a brand new.
whatever you want.
Whichever you.
Yeah,
want.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Get that one like.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Ryan Donato, number 8 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts. Last year, 78 games played, 12 goals, 18 assists, 30 points. You know, when I looked up his numbers, were you surprised that they were that high?
I was.
Did they feel that high to you during the season?
No. Like I when I saw like 12 goals, I was like, he had 12 goals. I know he had the first and last goal of the season.
He did.
That
was like me at the golf outing.
First
putt and last putt.
First time that's happened. I think Dirk Graham was the last Blackhawk player to do that. I looked that up after that happened. It seems less, but then when you think about it, you're like, oh, okay. But you know, Donato had an 8.1 shooting percentage. That was his lowest in 3 years, and his career average, his shooting percentage is 9.7. So he was low on that. So, you know, he also had his lowest Corsi, 47.6 was the lowest of his career, and the first time it was below 53% in his entire career.
That's significant.
Well, playing on a bad defensive
quality
team.
of team, yes.
But he also had 46.6% of his zone starts in the defensive zone, which was the highest of his career. So he was leaned a little more to play defense.
Yeah. I feel like there were a lot of moments for Ryan Donato where he should have scored. Just kind of like in my mind's eye. Like,
I remember a couple
like
plays
really good chances
up
where he
close
either got
on
robbed.
a rebound and hit a post or missed.
Yes. I feel like there were at least 4 or 5 of those during the season.
Here's a stat that I pulled courtesy of Natural Stat Trick, that might have something to do with the down numbers. He played on 32 different line combinations
in a row.
32 different line combinations.
Damn,
that's a lot, and that's got to be tough. Like pretty much every night playing with 2 different dudes or 1 different dude. It's hard to get momentum, chemistry going when you're playing with somebody different every night, sometimes within the game. I think this year with a deeper team, it will suit him better to where he's going to be pretty much a bottom 6 guy where he belongs. I mean, he opened the year on Connor Bedard's wing.
Yes, he did.
I like Ryan Donato. I think he's a nice little player. He's a great guy.
Yep.
In no scenario ever should he be your top line winger.
No.
Ever.
And I think he would tell you that too.
Yes. He probably looked at that board and said, Coach, you sure about that?
You have my name up there by mistake.
You misspelled Kurashev.
Yeah.
But he's that guy that Nick Foligno was talking about. The guy that accepts his role. Oh, you want me to play top line? Awesome. Okay, next night I'm playing 4th line. Cool, I could do that. 3rd line the next night. All right, I'm in. You need guys like that. But I think this season, now that you have, you know, an actual top 6, a real NHL top 6, and then you have a pretty good 3rd line, he could be on that 4th line. He could be that 4th line guy with, you know, the rotation of Smith and Maroon and whoever else, and he could play penalty kill. And if you want to put him on the 2nd power play unit for some net front presence, maybe you can do that. You might not have to, though.
Yeah,
I just think this year he's going to be able to play more to his strength, and he's not going to be out there trying to defend other teams' top line.
Well, it's just like
he'll be playing against other bottom 6 players, and then the offensive numbers should probably pick up.
It should even, you would think. So just as we've talked about, Lucas Reichel is saying, like, where is he where does he fit? You can kind of say the same thing about Donato. Like, if Nazar makes a team and one of like Slaggert or Doc or one of those guys makes a team, there might not be a spot for Ryan Donato every night. I mean, he's going to play.
Yeah.
And I think it's unlikely to believe that Craig Smith or Pat Maroon are going to play 82 games this year too.
Right.
They'll be a part of a rotation as well. But like, Donato might suddenly shift from everyday guy, sometimes playing on the top line, to healthy scratch now and again, or like a matchup kind of a guy. You know, when you're playing a faster team than he plays, you're playing a bigger, more physical team than Pat Maroon plays. I don't know how they're going to shake it out. It's a good number to have, a good problem to have more depth than you're used to. But I don't know. He's an interesting guy. Like, he's definitely an NHL player. There's no doubt about that. But when you look at the bottom six of this team and the guys who could potentially come and earn spots on this team, maybe not right away, but as the season goes on, he could be a trade candidate.
Part of my prediction for him is he's the first Blackhawk traded this year.
I mean, certainly could be.
And they might not even be deadline.
No.
It could be preseason. If you have Colton Doc and Frank Nazar telling you we are making this team and you can't deny it, you might be making some phone calls. You may find a team that suffered an injury in preseason. Like, hey,
yeah,
Ryan Donato for a fourth. Let's make it happen.
I mean, that's the kind of guy too where ahead of every kind of playoff push, a contender would like to add. Like, you can never have too many guys like that you know can play, that you know you can put out. Like, again, you're in the playoffs and guys get banged up and miss 2 or 3 games, to be able to go to a Ryan Donato in that role. Or even if it's like, even if he's an everyday player and somebody goes out, he's a guy that can go up on a top line or second line and hang. He's not going to put up big numbers, but he's also not going to hurt you in any way. He'll do the right things. He'll win the pucks. He'll do what he has to do to get the puck to the guys whose job it is to score. I think he's a really valuable player. I just think the Hawks have a lot of guys like him and some younger guys like him. So I think your prediction's right. He could be the first Hawk traded for sure.
Yeah. As far as my grade last year, when I do my grades, I like to base them on the expectation I had of the player going into the year and what the finished product was.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I give Ryan Donato a B-. Some may say that might be a little high for the numbers he put up, but he was a guy that brought the energy every night. He was never a guy we questioned about effort or energy level. He was always there. And just his versatility, been able to play up and down the lineup, and produce, that's why I went with the B-. Probably, some may say a little high, but based on what I had expectations for going here, I think he exceeded my expectations before the season started.
And I'm the same way. I gave him a C+, and our grading system for me anyway is, if you do what I expect you, it's a C. It's average. It's what we thought you were going to give us. So a C+ is slightly more than that. And I think his versatility, I don't think, to me, a C+ is great. I love C+. I do cartwheels when I see a C+.
Man,
it's like, whew, all right.
I got gold stars.
Beautiful.
When I came home.
I love that.
C+.
So it's not, it may look a little harsh, but it's just kind of, he was what was expected and a little bit more. Totally happy with his season for what he was brought in to do. And like I said, he was not lighting up the scoreboard by any means, but he did his job every night. He was a guy that Luke Richardson knew he could depend on to do whatever was needed. So thumbs up. Great job. I am going to predict for next season 10 goals and 23 assists. That's 33 points for those that can't math, up from 12 goals and 18 assists last year.
And I'm going to go 15 goals and 19 assists for 34 points. So right about the same on the points. I think we'll see an uptick in goals again because if his shooting percentage goes back to his career average, that should account for at least 2 more goals. And being able to play against other teams' third and fourth lines on a consistent basis as opposed to other teams' top 6 lines should also help give him couple more goals on the season. And then maybe some of that bad luck turns into good luck.
Good
this
mojo.
year, and he gets gets 2 or 3 goals just hitting his skate on the way by.
Yep. Before we move on to Teuvo, lots of chatter about Tyler Johnson in the chat today. Still without a contract. Some people seem surprised.
Shouldn't be.
Yep.
Hockey world is a small world, and
yep,
it is what it is. He'll get a deal. Maybe he'll be a PTO. I can't remember where I heard it from, but I heard a week or so ago that there's interest in going back to Tampa, but they just got to clear some cap space first. But I don't know. I don't know if that's legit, but he could be a guy that gets a PTO and then makes a team, or, or maybe he's being forced into retirement. He'll get a deal at some point.
Yeah,
Somebody will
I
get
would
him.
imagine.
He's still a serviceable player, but kind of wish, maybe having a bad attitude on the way out, making it public wasn't the best idea.
And yes, and also I think if you read between the lines of what some Hawks were saying after the season, you could probably surmise that a lot of those comments were pointed towards Tyler Johnson as a guy who probably could have played but didn't sometimes, and wasn't very happy to be there, and wasn't one of those accept my role and execute kind of guys. I don't know. That, like you said, word travels fast, and some people saying, how does Taylor Radish get a deal before him? Well, Taylor Radish is still relatively young and doesn't have a chronic history of injury. Yeah.
Taylor Radish has the height and frame of like the prototypical NHL player that most scouts and GMs want. They want everybody on their team to be the size of Taylor Radish.
Yeah. He is 26 years old. He's 6'3", 198. And when you see Taylor Radish in person, you're like, why is that guy not better?
Yeah.
That guy looks like he should be good. He's got all the makings of a hockey player.
Yeah. Taylor Radish.
Look, he scored 20 for the Hawks 2 years ago.
Taylor Radish still has potential to be a decent hockey player. Tyler Johnson no longer has. Tyler Johnson is what he is. He's the aging, injury-prone, declining player who used to be really good.
And a malcontent, apparently.
Not good anymore. So
Taylor Radish, speaking of shooting percentages last year, 4.2.
Yeah, it was not good.
Down from his career of 10.2, which includes that 4.2.
Yeah.
So season before, 15.5.
He's definitely a candidate for a bounce back season. And he's going to be in Washington. Is that where he signed? Washington?
Yes.
So he's going to get some opportunities to play there. Ride
him
that
and PLD.
Ride that OV train to some assists.
There you go. All right, let's move on to Teuvo Teravainen. Obviously was not on the Blackhawks last year, but had another solid year in Carolina, rather, with 25 goals, 28 assists, 53 points in 78 games. Kind of a down year offensively, but this is kind of, at this point in his career, kind of what he is. You're looking at 50, 60 point ranges for him. I do think, I've said this a couple times, that it would not shock me to see him have a career year in points. His career high is 76 in 82 games in 2018-19. Maybe that's a little bit high, but if he's on Bedard's line all year and on power play 1 with Bedard all year, like you could definitely see that happening. And Sebastian Aho is a great player. Carolina's got a lot of studs on their team, but they don't quite have a Connor Bedard type of star player.
Well, that's why they've never gotten where everybody thinks they're going to go each year.
Right. So we'll see. I just think Teuvo feels to me, and we've talked about this before it even happened, like a really good fit for this team, exactly what they need. And I think while we are all sort of salivating over the playmaking and the goal scoring and all the offensive stuff Teuvo can do, he is a fantastic defensive forward. He can shut things down. He can kill penalties. Like, he is underrated in his defensive game.
I think so. He had a 62.3 Corsi for percentage last season.
That's crazy.
But he did start 62.1% of his shifts in the offensive zone, but that means he's good at puck possession.
Yeah.
This is where Connor Bedard really needs to get better at faceoffs, because how many times did Bedard get out there, they lose that draw, and then they're chasing the puck for 45 seconds, and then they have to get off the ice.
Right.
Teuvo can take some faceoffs. So if he's a hot hand at the faceoffs, maybe you put him to take some offensive zone draws. He took 140 faceoffs last year and won 47.1% on them.
Yeah,
that's
not terrible.
Exactly. That's a big upgrade.
The year before, he won 62% of his 144. The year before that, 54%.
So
yeah, so
I totally could see him stepping in those third period offensive zone draws, taking those draws if Bedard's struggling again. But even with that, 62.3 Corsi for, that means puck possession. That means you're keeping the puck in the zone. So many one and dones last season for the Hawks. One shot, misses the net, going back the other way. Puck doesn't come back down to that ice for another 3 minutes. Teuvo's going to help with the puck possession game.
Yep.
He's going to help the offense. He'll be better at. He'll help the defense, be better. So hopefully the Bedard line, if that's where he's going to be, I imagine he's going to be there a lot. Maybe not the whole season, but he'll be there a lot. Anything to keep the Bedard line out of the defensive zone is going to be a plus.
Nate made a good point and said he also won't be surprised by passes coming his way. That's true, and I think at the same time, he's going to be a guy who's not going to be missing Bedard by 2 feet.
Yeah,
trying to get the puck to him back. Like that, passing is part of one of Teuvo's greatest assets. So yeah, I think those are like the little things where I just remember when I used to do my events with Hawks players, I would sort of say like, is it sometimes more difficult to play against bad teams because there's so little like the pass success is down and there's like a lot of like stopping and starting and back and forth because pucks get fumbled or whatever. And they all sort of said like, yeah, that's definitely a thing that happens is when the team you're playing has no flow to their game, it kind of slows down everybody and it affects the way you play. So just having a line that's going to have some flow to it, it's going to have some successful passing back and forth across the zone, out of the zone into the offensive zone, whatever, across 2 lines, whatever it might be. There's not going to be so many missed passes that turn into icings, and then those turn into defensive zone faceoffs. Like it's just all those little things that the plus 10% passing improves. It's going to have an effect all the way up and down the lineup. So
yeah, I mean, it took Kershaw a few games to pick up on that Bedard.
Yeah.
That, hey, that puck can come to me at any moment. I better be ready. I mean, speaking of our guy, Tyler Johnson, remember that game early in the year where Bedard makes a great pass to somehow gets it to Johnson and Johnson doesn't have his stick on the ice. And it's like, what, but then the next time that play happened, he was ready for it. So that's what the preseason and practice is for. It shouldn't take a guy like Teuvo very long to realize that puck is going to be on my tape at any moment. So I need to be ready.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And Cricket says I'm hoping for fewer rage-filled post-game streams.
Hey,
you're probably not gonna get fewer. Rage the person?
He's not here to defend himself. No, I don't think that's what she meant.
Oh, but, no, I mean, look, when games matter, we're gonna be a little more fired up when they don't go well. When there's expectations,
yeah, like I think we'll care more about the results this year because, we're going to see more guys play this year that matter to the future. So we want, these guys to succeed. And if they're making the same repeated boneheaded mistakes, then you can start to get upset.
I would think so. Yes. All right. What do we got for predictions for Teuvo?
I have 23 goals. I have him jumping up to 40 assists for 63 points. I think having 98 on your hip most of the season, just pass the puck that way and let him score, and he'll reward you as well. So 63 points for Teuvo, I think, is a pretty good, exactly what you're looking for out of him.
I'm a little bit lower than you, but pretty close. I got 25 goals and 35 assists for 60 points. Feels a little low, but I think I'm being conservative right now. Like I said, it would not shock me to see him in the 70s, obviously assuming health next year, if he is on power play 1 and line 1 most of the time. And look, even if he's on a second line with, because he can play left or right or center. So you could have
that game.
Taylor Hall, Jason Dickinson, and Teuvo, right? Like there's ways you can mix things up, and he'll be with good players all year.
It will get mixed up throughout the year.
Yeah, of course.
There's no way you're gonna go Bertuzzi, Bedard, Teuvo for every shift of all 82 games. It just doesn't happen.
No, it just never happens. It just doesn't. All right, well, we're going to be back on Monday with Mailbag Monday. I'm actually off. Greg and Mario will be here answering all your mailbag queries. Again, if you're a diehard, jump in the Discord. There's now, it started, last week, a mailbag section of the Blackhawks Discord.
There's a mailbag channel that you can just, whenever it pops in your head, you don't have to wait till Sunday night or Monday morning. Throw it in the Diehards mailbag channel in the Blackhawks Discord, and we'll get to it. And then just if you're not a diehard, first off, shame on you. Second off, keep your eyes open. Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, we'll put a tweet out, and you can reply to that for your questions as well.
Yes, and it usually gets us through at least Tuesday before we can get all of our mailbag questions out. So,
hey, the more the merrier. We'll take them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Program our show for the entire week, please.
Yeah, get those in. Again, Discord, use that channel to get your questions in whenever. You could do it all week, and we can go back, and we know the last one we answered. We'll just go from there, and Discord diehards get priority on Mailbag Monday/Tuesday. So make sure you do that as well. With that, make sure you have a great weekend. Be safe, have fun, enjoy this weather. It's amazing. It is a Chamber of Commerce day in Chicago today, as it's been all week. So go out and enjoy it. Drink some nice cold Coors Light and relax, because it's been a hell of a week in this here country of ours. Boy, oh boy. Just take a load off, chill out, hit up Sunnyside, hit up Coors Light.
Go relax on the couch.
And you'll be good to go. I'm looking for our, there he is. He's out there. Shirtless Dart Guy is out here, so summer has begun. All right, we'll talk to everybody Monday at 2:30 on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.